Hey guys, it's been a while, but I am indeed back with some Destiny coverage. Today we're going to be going over patch 2.4, what happened, and any of my thoughts along with it. We'll start with exotic weapons. Fabian's strategy has never been the beast that I think it was designed to be, falling behind the other class exotics significantly. Well, Bungie sees that and is giving it even more power. Kills give you back a portion of your magazine, and both stability and range were increased to the point where this may be the best mid-rate of fire auto rifle in the game on stats alone. Whether or not it's able to make a dent in the meta will have to be seen, but buffs for this weapon are always nice. Thorn, on the other hand, is getting a bit of a nerf. The range is being dropped a little on the weapon, down 25%. Much like the patch notes describe, it had one of the best in-class ranges with Send It on it, a very powerful utility effect with its damage over time, and it could kill basically as quickly as other hand cannons. So it didn't really have any drawbacks compared to most other hand cannons. However, this means that something like the IS Luna will likely stay at the top of the food chain in terms of PvP weaponry and hand cannons. Universal Remote, or the bane of everyone's existence, is getting knocked down a peg. The exotic perk range bonus is getting dropped, making sure that you don't get max range anymore. Rate of fire is being increased though, allowing you to shoot a little bit faster, but at the cost of some damage getting shaved off of the top. So if you can still get into close range quickly, you still have a chance of using this well, but it won't be as lethal as it seemed to be. Dreg's Promise is up next, getting an 8% damage boost, and its magazine size increased by 3, aka 1 burst. Dreg's Promise didn't quite live up to its April update hype, so this, on top of the buffs that sidearms are getting, might push this into the limelight a little bit more. Touch of Malice is getting a nerf and will no longer cooperate with Blessing of Light. It'll remove that shield instantly instead of treating it like your health. I'm actually a little bit happy about this nerf, as a major concern of mine with the new raid was that everyone was just going to stack Titan bubbles and just plow their way through the raid. This nerf makes Titan bubble spam less effective in the raid. As for its King's Fall implications, well, not many people are really going to run King's Fall after Rise of Iron anyway, and I have a feeling that if this really was a King's Fall related nerf, of which it only affects one portion of one fight, it would have happened much sooner than it actually did. Otherwise, Touch of Malice didn't really see too much play outside of the raid anyway, so I don't think there's too much reason to be completely devastated by this nerf. Boolean Gemini is getting high caliber rounds as an intrinsic perk now. Boolean is already a pretty good workhorse weapon and is solid overall, but this may help it get picked just a slight bit more. No Time to Explain is getting Headseeker as an intrinsic perk, which makes sense given the exotic perk on the weapon. No Time to Explain fell victim to a currently very poor mid-rate of fire pulse rifle archetype state and kind of annoying sights, but this maybe gives it a nice PvE bump. Mid-rate of fire pulses are also getting buffed, which we'll cover soon. Alright, let's get to weapon classes now, starting with autos. Mid-rate of fire autos got a 1.5% damage buff, so you might see an extra damage per headshot in PvP now. Nothing really to change up the time to kill, but maybe helpful enough to seal the deal on a kill here or there. High rate of fire auto rifles like Doctrine are getting nerfed again via their magazine size. They are now smaller. Bungie didn't want people to be able to take on opponents for such a long time without having to reload. You know, the person being shot at would rarely get that opportunity to attack back since they were just being spammed with bullets. This nerf hopes to give players that opportunity to make a counterplay when their enemy actually runs out of shots. Mid-rate of fire pulse rifles like Nerwin's Mercy got a 2% damage buff, which is pretty good news. You might see an extra damage in PvP now. They were completely outclassed by the high rate of fire pulses, so this might bring them back into the picture just a little bit, but I'm not sure if it'll be enough. The Hake Pulse, Lyudmila D, got increased rate of fire to compensate for this buff. Hand cannons are just getting some bug fixes, no buffs or nerfs, and scout rifles were untouched. Certain shotguns got some minor buffs. Full auto shotties don't really see a lot of use, so their spread penalties are getting reduced so that spreads are now tighter. They should be more reminiscent of what a regular shotgun does now, meaning more pellets are going to hit. However, this will not affect invective. Also, high and mid rate of fire shotties got 2% more damage. Fusion rifles only got bug and UI fixes, no buffs or nerfs. Sidearms were given some very nice buffs, with basically all of them getting damage buffs, except for Vestian Dynasty and Queen's Choice, which are non-hit scan. Those were nerfed by 5% damage. Damage fall-off range was extended, stability was increased, and their PvE damage was buffed about 20 to 30% depending on the sidearm family. Higher rate of fire sidearms are coming with Rise of Iron, so current rate of fire stat bars got adjusted to look slower, but they still fire at the same exact rate of fire, it's just a little UI change. The most controversial changes came to snipers. Mid-high impact snipers like Longbow and 1K Stare had their damage nerfed by about 7% and can no longer reliably kill high armor guardians in their super. No Land Beyond was not affected by any of this. Target acquisition for the LDR and the Longbow was also reduced to bring them more in line with other snipers of that archetype. Sniper Flinch was also affected. I know everyone here has been killed by a sniper while you were just piling bullets into them. It's a very frustrating experience. So when you're aiming with a sniper now, you will flinch more when being shot, making those miracle shots to the head maybe not as common as they seem to be. High rate of fire machine guns got buffed via a 4% damage buff. That's nice. Rockets had grenade and horseshoes nerfed and cluster bombs buffed. Grenades and horseshoes explosive radius is now 1 meter instead of 1.3, although the Truth rocket launcher was not affected by this nerf. Cluster bombs got a buff because, well, they sucked, so hopefully they're better now and give people a new option to look out for. Some weapon perks got some desperately needed buffs, although I don't know if these buffs really are enough to kind of move them into usable territory. Take a Knee now activates in half a second and gives flinch reduction and increased ADS speed, both by 25%. Exhumed now lasts 15 seconds instead of 10. Cascade now automatically reloads part of your magazine when you get a melee kill. Surplus now increases your carried ammo capacity, one of the stronger buffs, very interesting. Grave Robber's proc chance is now 25%, up from 20. Guerrilla Fighter's stability and range bonuses were increased by 200%, which sounds insane, but probably isn't. Unflinching now only gives 15% reduction instead of 25, which I thought was a little weird given that they changed a lot of the flinch mechanics on snipers, but alright. And last, magazine perks like high caliber, armor piercing, and skip rounds will now give bonus range and will reduce your handling. They also won't show an impact increase anymore as to not confuse people because it didn't actually give you a damage buff. That is everything on the weapon side of things. We have some other minor things in the patch as well as we prepare for Rise of Iron. Public event rewards got a huge buff. Your first gold rating public event completion nets you a legendary engram if you're level 40, 15 planetary materials and legendary marks, 5 motes of light, a very low chance at an exotic shard, 4,000 experience, and 25 Vanguard rep. Repeated completions get you not nearly as much stuff, but still some stuff. However, this isn't live in-game just yet. It may be a thing that will activate when Rise of Iron hits. In fact, it might not may be a thing, it probably is a thing that will activate when Rise of Iron hits. The next notable change comes from the Crucible. Legendary engrams will no longer drop from Crucible. Only actual items will now drop. Hopefully that gives everyone a chance to get more actual items. Also, Salvage got a lot of adjustments in hopes of having people actually play the game mode instead of just making it a longer skirmish match. We'll see how that turns out. The rest of the notes are even more minor things, which you can check out in the description. So those are your patch notes. Time for thoughts. Exotic buffs and nerfs, nothing really surprised me too much. Fabian strategy buffs are great, same with Boolean, Drake's Promise, and No Time to Explain. I don't think anyone is going to be complaining about those buffs, no matter how minor they might be. I will say that Thorns Nerf was a little surprising, but I understand the reasoning. It basically had everything that most other hand cannons had, plus damage over time, which wasn't just damage, but also let you track the enemy and disable their shields for a short time. So they just wanted to bring that down. They weren't going to nerf the damage at all, or the utility of the damage over time, so the only thing left was range. So we'll see what happens with that. It's still a really good weapon, but you're going to need to be a little more cognizant of how far you are away from people, because it just doesn't have the same reach that it used to. Primary weapons got some very minor buffs, nothing really too surprising there either. I hope auto rifles start to make a comeback in some way. It would really be nice to use one of those again. Hand cannons and scout rifles, no changes, but no real surprises there. Mid-rate of fire pulses were just completely out of the picture, so a buff there is pretty nice, even though it's only going to really end up being maybe 1, maybe 2 damage in PvP. Special weapons sidearm buff is great. They got the shotgun PvE treatment, which is nice. Still not sure what role they're meant to play in PvE though, since special weapons are more of a utility item to provide high burst damage for difficult targets. Sidearms wipe the floor with low tier and red health bar enemies, but primaries already do that pretty well. There's a place for sidearms though, somewhere. Fusion rifles, no changes, they didn't really need any. Shotguns got really minor buffs, that's fine, nothing on that. Snipers got slapped pretty hard compared to everything else, and I guess it was bound to happen at the rate that people complained about sniper rifles. I haven't had a chance to play just yet because I just got back from my sort of vacation, but I don't see this as being the end of the world for snipers. Yeah, not being able to one-shot someone in a super kinda sucks now, but I'll be doing a test when Rise of Iron comes out to see what snipes can still kill supers. I know players with 6 to 7 armor will be able to survive a snipe shot to the head, so you do at least need to spec for high armor to stay alive. It's not like all supers will survive all shots. You do need to spec high armor, so that is something to take into consideration. I think day-to-day sniping won't be as affected as much as everyone thinks it will be, and it'll continue to reward a very skilled hand. You'll just need to be much more aware of your surroundings. Staying in one spot for an entire game won't be as feasible either with the increase in flinch. It's gonna be a little bit harder for snipers, but it's not gonna be impossible. Snipers in PvP aren't exactly my forte though. I feel like you're gonna get better feedback from checking out some PvP streams on Twitch. High rate of fire HMGs got buffed. Yeah, that's fine. Cluster bombs got buffed. That's fine. Grenades and horseshoes got nerfed. I'm actually kind of happy about that. I definitely understand the appeal of grenades and horseshoes, but like the patch note said, it ruins some of the fun when you have such a huge hitbox that you can hit with a rocket launcher. It's not a catastrophic nerf by any means, you know, you guys will be alright. Public event reward buffs, yeah, very big fan of that, especially with Rise of Iron on the horizon of Iron. It'll get people out exploring a little bit more than they might do right now. So, overall, patch, pretty solid. Sniper nerfs have a lot of people worried. I will say that I am a slight bit worried that the nerfs will deter people from trying to snipe, and instead PvP will become even more shotgun populated, especially from the look of some of the PvP maps coming out with Rise of Iron. Nearly all of them seem like they're pretty close quarters. You know, I played 2 of them and then I played the other 2 while I was at PAX, so yeah, it's definitely a concern. So we'll see how that plays out, but that is definitely a fear that shotguns are just going to take over even more than they already have. That feels more like a map design issue than a snipers suck now issue though, so we'll see. Keep tabs on it. Anyway, guys, I am going to head out. I got something that I've been working on for the past few days now that I hope you guys will enjoy very soon, along with some other goodies coming before the launch of Rise of Iron. Very glad to be back making Destiny stuff again. Maybe took a little too long of a vacation, though. It was bad timing on some travel, but anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.